So you want to start an online business? Great, but you're not sure where to begin because there's a lot of information out there. Today I want to give you 6 simple questions you can ask yourself to give you some clarity about what to do moving forward to the point where you could start your online business today. And that gives me goosebumps. All right, who am I? My name is Joe Gilder. I've made my living online for the last 15 years through a business called Home Studio Corner. It caters to musicians and people who want to learn how to record great sounding music. My YouTube channel has a little over 200,000 subscribers at this point, but my business is able to generate a 6-figure income for me for the last at least 10 or 12 years, and it just keeps trucking along. So that's where I'm coming from, and I want to share my experience with you in building this business, overcoming a lot of the obstacles that are in the way, give you some information, hopefully some inspiration, and some practical advice on steps you can take to move towards starting your own online business. This is really exciting, so let's jump in. I've got 6 questions for you to ask, and they're basically the 6, what's the word? Who, what, when, where, why, how. That's it. So we're going to dive into those in a specific order that makes the most sense. So the first question is why? Why do you want to start an online business? Now let's get past the I want to make money, I want some freedom. Like those are given and those are good, but specifically, what is your why for serving this audience that you want to serve, for creating this thing? If you haven't read the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek, I've got mixed feelings about it. Some of it annoys me, but most of it is really good because it gets you in this mindset of the greatest companies everything they do is from a place of understanding their why they exist as a company and what they're trying to do. It all begins with the why. So the what is like what they do, what they create, what they sell. Important, but a more important question is the why. Why do they do what they do? So for me, and this can change and evolve over time, but currently, as I think through my own why, I think of it as I'm here. A good way to ask the question is, why was I put on this earth, right? What was I made to do? What's my why? And for me, it comes out to my why is to empower people to create. So that started with music, helping musicians who are frustrated with the recording process figure out how to do that thing well and create this body of work, all this wonderful music, achieve this dream that they've always had of creating something. But also with this channel, I want to help you create a business, create a lifestyle. That, to me, I was shocked when I got into doing this as a business. It started off as a hobby, side project, creative outlet. Very quickly, I began to realize there might be some business potential here. And I was so surprised how creative the business process is. I love creating music, writing songs, recording them, performing, all of that. Great, super creative. Yes, we all believe that. But doing the business stuff also fired up that creative side of my brain in a similar way to writing a song, producing an album, or playing a show live. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm a creative person, I don't have a business mind, you absolutely do, because business is creative. You are creating value a lot of times out of nothing, right? You are taking, or maybe you're taking some raw resources and you're turning them, you're turning them into something to sell. That could be, the raw resources could literally be just the ideas floating around in here. You're going to turn those into a course that you're going to sell to people eventually. So the idea of thinking that creativity and business don't go together, completely wrong. If you've read one of the biographies of Steve Jobs, you know that in addition to founding Apple Computer, he also helped found Pixar, which is one of the greatest storytelling movie companies of all time. He was a creative person, great businessman, also had lots of problems, but he had a creative streak in him. It wasn't just spreadsheets and numbers, although you got to do spreadsheets and numbers and keep track of those things because those will help you do the job better and be more creative. But I'm getting distracted. I'm distracting myself. The why is hugely important. Steve Jobs wanted to make a dent in the universe. You know, Apple was their idea of thinking different. Think different was that theme that they came out with, of doing something not like the normal kind of utilitarian computer, but a device that you, anyway, we're not going to get into Apple fanboyism here. Point being, if you know why you're doing the thing, you are much more likely to do the thing well, to figure out the right things to do, and to be able to last long term. If you're jumping into this thinking, I want to start a business talking about cryptocurrency, I hate it. I hate cryptocurrency, but I think it's the opportunity that I want to pursue. You could potentially have success. I'm not here to say one business idea is better or worse than another, but speaking from my own experience, being able to do this for 15 years and not feeling completely burned out is because I started with something I felt like I was made to do, which on the one level, helping people create, empowering people to create, but even deeper than that for me, creating myself, creating specifically music. I knew I wanted to make music. I'm going to want to make music till the day I die, unless something changes, but it hasn't changed thus far. We're 40 years in, so I think I've got a good chance of continuing with this music thing. So for me, I would never get tired of music because I'm always wanting to create music, to the point where if I haven't created some music in a while, it starts to affect me emotionally and mentally. I have a need to do that. Now, some might say that's not healthy. I would say it's the most healthy because I was made to create. I was created by a creative being, and now I create as well. So if you're coming from the creative side of things especially, I want you to know that business will also be creative, and you may even find it is more creative than the creative thing that you like to do. Okay, so the first question, let's figure out our why. Question number 2, who? Who are we? By the way, I wrote a song in college called Night Owl. I can't remember what it was exactly about, but the chorus would ask the question of like, who this, who that, and then I just sang the word who. So like, I thought I was so clever because owls go hoot, hoot, and anyway, just bad songwriting. Anyway, who is your who? In other words, what is the group of people that you are going to serve? Because to be in business is to serve a group of people. To serve everyone is to serve no one, okay? You are much more likely to have success serving a specific group of people than trying to be all things to all people, because nobody will really want to be around you, if that makes sense. Not in a negative sense, just if I make a video about making chicken curry one day, and the next video is about cryptocurrency. I don't know why I'm thinking about crypto. I know nothing about crypto. And then the next day is about gardening, and the next day is about astronomy. Might be interesting. Each video on its own might be interesting, but I'm not gonna gather an audience of like-minded people to whom I can serve, because they're going to be just so vastly different. So I'm a big fan of niching that thing down. I talked about that in a recent video. Find your who. Find the people that you're going to serve. So for me, way back when I started Home Studio Corner, I was a musician. I actually had a degree in music production, which was something, and I was working at a music store selling over the phone. So I was selling music equipment over the phone. So my target audience, honestly, I kind of just backed into it. I didn't realize I was doing it, but my target audience was musicians. But as I started to think about literally trying to figure out what domain to buy for Home Studio Corner, at first I was going to be something like Music Tech Source, which just has a nice ring to it. But then I realized I don't really want to be just about music technology. I want to be more about music itself. And I started to think, well, who can I speak to? Well, I can't talk to like high-end professional recording studio engineers because I never was really one of those. I knew a lot of that stuff, but I hadn't been like a working on major label releases kind of a guy. So I couldn't talk to them with any sort of like confidence or authority. Couldn't talk to like live sound engineers because I'd never done much of that. And so I started to kind of whittle down who I couldn't talk to within the kind of big umbrella of music. But I realized I can talk to people who want to make music in a home studio, because that's something I know how to do and I've been doing as long as I've played guitar. So I knew how to write songs, I knew to record, and I could talk about that forever. So that was my target audience. Now it seems like, oh man, you had such good advice to find your target audience. It was just intuitive, because who can I speak to? Who can I speak to with any level of authority? What is a group of people that maybe want to get to where I am with this thing? That's the people I'm going to talk to. So think about that for yourself. Maybe you already know broadly what your topic is. Hone in on who's that specific person. And sometimes it helps to say, who is that person not going to be? Therefore, we can hone in on who it is going to be. This can also, the answer to all these questions can evolve over time, but it's important that you answer them and maybe even answer them regularly. So for this channel, for the Joe Gilder business side of things, it's, as I'm shooting this video, we're very early. Like, this is the 4th or 5th video in ever here. So I'm thinking long-term, long game plan. But right now, even though like this, the answer to the who question is evolving, right now I'm targeting people, talented people who want to create an online business. That's the idea. People probably who are doing a creative endeavor, they're good at something creative. Now they want to start an online business around that thing that they are good at, that thing they have some talent and skill at. I just finished a sentence with the word at. You're not supposed to do that. Sorry, my high school English teacher, Miss Simmons. I apologize. So that's the second question is who. Figure out who you're speaking to, because otherwise you're just going to be floundering about. Have a target. It can be a fairly big group, like musicians is a big group. I narrowed it down even more to people who want to make music in a home studio, and that has worked out well. Okay? All right, the next question is what? So we talked about why, who, now what? What are we going to do? Now that we know our why and we know who we're going to speak to, what are we going to do? Like, what's the actual, like, boots on the ground? What are the actions we're going to take? For me, that looks like content. Content. That looks like creating consistent, helpful, transformational, life-changing, really valuable content specifically for that group of people. What kind of content? Well, that depends on you. Obviously, I like YouTube, but I like video, but maybe yours is audio, maybe yours is written word, maybe yours is a combination of those. But the what, for me, begins and ends with content, because that's how I connect. That's how my fans find me to begin with, and content is how I deepen that connection. It's really like the linchpin of the whole thing is creating good, engaging, valuable content. And for me, the next piece of that what puzzle, so if content is the answer to how do we attract an audience, then the monetizing piece, how do we make money from that audience? There's a lot of answers to that question. For me, it was to just sell something to them directly, to make offers to this audience in form of a product or a service. Hang 10, dude. So for me, the product was actually more content. I sell courses that go in depth on these topics that are really important to this group of people. I help them achieve specific transformation with regards to a thing they're passionate about, which is music and home recording. You could also go the service route. I've done that. I've done some client work based on the stuff that I teach, where someone hires me to mix their album versus mixing it themselves, even though I'm the one teaching them how to do it. They're not there yet, so they hire me. That was a side effect I didn't expect to come from starting this online thing. And I never leaned too heavily into it because I never wanted to do tons of client work, but it's there and it's an option that will come almost even without trying if you're making good content and connecting with people. Question numero cuatro. Where? Why, who, what, where? Where are we going to put this content? Where are we going to be online? As I shoot this video, YouTube is my answer. There are lots of social media platforms. There's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Those are like the big ones currently. 2 years from now, one or all of those might be gone. I don't know. But I have been on YouTube since 2009. Feels like it's going to stick around for a minute. Also, it is like my top pick. So I have profiles on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I almost never look at them. That probably makes me bad at social media. I'm okay with that because I'm all in on YouTube. We can only handle so much anyway. So for me, I would rather be all in on one platform and then the other platforms as time permits. But for me, it's just been all in on YouTube and then another platform that's not exactly social media, but is crucial. We'll talk about that next on the next question. So why YouTube? Why is YouTube so valuable? Well, it is in conjunction to a place like Instagram or TikTok where people go to kind of just scroll through and be entertained. YouTube is a place to be entertained, but it's also a place to learn. People typically go to YouTube with a mindset of either being entertained or learning something, getting some information. It's also a really, really cool search engine owned by who? Google. So people go there to search for things. So if you're making content that people are searching for, they're going to find you, right? I know it's super obvious, but for me, that makes the platform really valuable because I've got videos that I made 10 years ago that still get views for me. and bring in new subscribers and people into my funnel and the whole deal of a video that I made 10 years ago. That doesn't really happen on other platforms where it's just about right now, right? I don't see engagement on a Facebook post I made 10 years ago. It doesn't happen the same way. People aren't going to Facebook to search for ideas or search for how to make this guitar sound good. They are doing that on Google as a whole, and especially on YouTube. And then my video pops up, I help them, and all is well with the world. That's why I think YouTube is such a fantastic platform. You got to figure out what your platform is. Obviously, there are other platforms that are more popular and probably have more users, but what's the end result? For me, I'm not looking to get a quick, 3 million views on a 30-second vertical short that's funny if it doesn't create some sort of lasting impact on me and my business. Yes, I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve an audience, but I'm also here to grow my business. And so I haven't done extensive testing on things like that, short form content like that, but I have been generating my living through regular old YouTube videos for the last decade and a half, and it's working well. So I cannot recommend that platform enough. You're watching this on YouTube, so clearly you are a user of YouTube on some level, so lean into that. Now, by the way, that doesn't mean that I just make whatever content I want. Just because I've been doing this, I said the phrase plain old YouTube videos. It's not that I'm going to make just boring stuff for the sake of just throwing another video up into the ether. The goal has to be quality, has to be valuable, and you have to be willing to adjust what you're doing over time, because what works now may not work as well next year, and you got to be willing to have those hard conversations with yourself to make sure you're continuously creating value for your audience. All right, the next question is how? So how are we going to go about actually making the money from this business? We mentioned that there'll be like products and services, but how do we actually get someone into our system and how does money actually go from them into my bank account or my back pocket? That is, it's a pretty simple answer, and it's the way that I have done it since the beginning. So first you build an audience, right? We're doing that on YouTube mostly. From that audience, you now build an email list. So a percentage of those people in that audience are going to want to engage with you so much that they're willing to give you their email address in exchange for some sort of a free gift. And now you've got an email list that you can send direct emails to. And that email list is where I make offers. So I sell things by sending emails out to my email list. I create valuable emails for them, but then occasionally I send an email that says, hey, buy this. Hey, this is on sale. Hey, I've got a new course. They click the link, they go, and they buy. Now, I know that seems overly simplistic, but if you've never thought about it before, you might think, okay, are they clicking the join button on YouTube and that's how you make money? I mean, that's one way, but for me, I have everything in my own system, my own email system, my own system of delivering content, delivering paid content, giving them a login. It's all inside an app called Kajabi, which there's a link in the description if you want to find out more. But it's very simple. I build an audience. I build an email list from that audience. I sell to that email list. It's super simple, and it works. Final question, and this is my favorite question. This is the one that gives me goosebumps. The final question is when. So we've gone through why, who, what, where, how. Now the answer is when. When are you going to do this thing? You may not have answers to all of those questions, but if you've got an answer of who and an answer to where, you're going to speak to this group of people on YouTube, pretty much, and of course, if you have your why led to your who, which led to your what, you're good to go. Start. Make a video and post it tonight. The thing about this, if you're watching this video, this is my, like I said, 4th or 5th video on this channel. There's nobody. This channel is a ghost town right now because I just started. I actually haven't even told anyone about it because I'm trying to build up at least a handful of videos to give them something to watch once they go here. So I got no views. I think I have 4 subscribers that have found me randomly. So it is early days. So in some sense, it doesn't matter what I do now because I'm going to get better at making content for this platform and this audience over time as I interact with that audience. So if you've never made content before, your first 50 videos aren't going to be your best most likely. So might as well go ahead and get them out of the way. The great thing about that is if you make your first 50 videos in that first year and you don't have that many people watching them, no harm, no foul, right? You get to practice in public, but not a lot of people see them, and you get better and you improve, and then you do the bulk of your growth as you've gotten better at the thing anyway. I know it sounds like, well, Joe, I want to make a video today and make $1 tomorrow. That's nice. It's a great dream, but down here in reality, we build things for the long term. First of all, I'm building like this Joe Gilder business brand. I'm building it for what's going to happen 5, 10, 15 years from now. Home Studio Corner, it took a couple years. It took 7 months to make any money, and then it took 2 more years before I crossed the 6-figure mark. So it wasn't like instant overnight success, and it's not like it's bringing in, millions of dollars every month, but it is bringing in a steady 6-figure income, which is wonderful and more than enough for me and my family. But so I'm not telling you how to do something I've never done. I'm telling you what I've done that has worked and has worked for lots of other people, and I encourage you to lean into it. That's why, if we go back to the beginning of this video, the why is so important. If you don't have a compelling enough reason to be doing this, then in some sense, there's no reason to even start. However, if you do have a compelling why, that can get you through this initial process of setting things up and growing, because it's exciting at first and then it becomes a bit of a grind. But if you stick with it and you do the right things and you focus on making value for your audience, things will start to take off. People will start to talk. You'll start to get subscribers, email subscribers. You'll create a course. You'll sell it. A lot of great things will happen. By the way, if you think, okay, this is cool, I like this idea, I'd like to put a little more meat on those bones about like what specifically am I doing when I'm setting up this system, I've actually mapped out my business model that I use, and it fits on a single sheet of paper. And I created a video kind of walking you through that business model. It's called the Business Game Plan, because I can summarize my entire business model with 4 letters, GAME. So to get a download of that one-page business model with a masterclass video explaining the model to you in super kind of specific detail, go to joegilder.biz/game to download that for free. Link is in the description. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Here's another video you might want to check out.